What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. In particular, welcome to PCP Movie Night. It's the show where we gather every week, we watch a movie, and we discuss it here with you on Pop Culture Philosophers. PCP Movie Night, one of my favorite nights of the week. And we are in the midst of Robbie Week, and we are also kicking off Crew's Choice. Now, every year, we do Crew's Choice, where the members of the crew, including me, get to pick the movies that we review for a couple of months, right? But the only thing this year is that it has to involve Tom Cruise, so it's Crew's Choice. Get it? That's the last time I'm explaining that. I'm assuming you are all smart enough to understand what we're doing. Crew's Choice. And today I picked a movie that I loved when I was a kid. This movie came out in 1990. I'm 9 years old, and for some reason, I loved this movie. I even had the damn toy cars that go along with it, man. Like, I'm missing some of them. And these I got a few months ago from Mike, but I got the Mellow Yellow, the Hardys, and the Superflow one. But y'all, I loved this movie when I was a kid. I have not seen it since I was a kid. So I thought it would be a fun time to talk about Days of Thunder, directed by Tony Scott, starring Tom Cruise. And you know we can't talk about Tom Cruise without Jelani. What is up, my man?
That's right, station, man. And nice car, man. Love me some stock cars. We got talking some goddamn give it, baby. My name ain't driving. I love it, man. Good time. Woo!
Yeah, a lot of people down here like their NASCAR for
That's
sure,
right.
for certain, right? Yeah. One of them is not Brooks, but Brooks is here. What is up, my man?
What's up?
You excited to talk about this movie?
Kind of.
Kind of. All right. Well, we also joining us because this is a special Robbie Week presentation. We got the one and the only Manny. What is up, my man?
Dude, I am pumped. I am pumped because here we are, 30 some odd years later from this film. And just like the formulaic Hollywood movies that we cover on this show, you haven't learned. You think I'm going to come here and I'm going to give you gems. I'm going to give you a review worthy of Pop Culture Philosophers. And I'm never going to do that, Robbie, but I am going to give you an engine low to the ground, extra thick oil. An extra thick oil pan to cut the wind from underneath you. It'll give you 30 or 40 more horsepower. I'm going to give you a fuel line that'll hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm going to shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet. I want you to be perfect. And that's why you're going to bring out the next guest, because you ain't getting none of that shit from me.
Yeah, well, the next guest is here because I think he's secretly working on his graphic novel adaptation of this film. It's Joe Corallo. What is up, my man?
Well, I'm fine, but before we get into it, there's just something's really bothering me today. I just want to, get off my chest here. So, if you're cooked, that's bad. But if you're cooking, that's good or bad, depending on the context. What the fuck are we even doing anymore? What is language? What the fuck's happening?
And sometimes when you're on fire, it's
it.
good. Sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, but like, I'm just talking to people, and they're just like, oh, this is cooked, and like, they're cooking with it. Like today, and like other days, and like, I'm like, we gotta stop. We got to get control of ourselves here. Slang, it's getting dumber and dumber. I mean, at least I'm not trying to like put older slang on a pedestal or anything, but like at least when like you used to call something fat, it meant pretty hot and tempting. Like there was something there to it. And now you talk to people and you're like, why the fuck are you telling me this is cooking? Why don't you just say, I'm working on something? Like, is it that hard? And they're just like, I don't know, it's cooking is like, I'm just enough, people, enough. Just use words like
old man
words.
ran at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
All I gotta say is bet.
He couldn't wait till Festivus for that shit.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. Yeah. It is driving me fucking crazy. I mean, I got people, they DM you being like, oh, this guy's cooking. And I'm like, no, we're done. Not doing it. I'm not entertaining it. I'm calling it out when people say that. I'm like, just tell me what you mean. Just say what you mean. God damn it. Just
Well,
done with
all
it.
the modern day slang aside, we do know that rubbing is racing, right? That's one thing that
Oh,
we've
sure.
learned from this movie tonight is that rubbing is racing.
Absolutely. That
All
I
right,
can get behind.
Yeah, so we can let's get into this film, Days of Thunder. This was so my stepdad was a NASCAR fan, still is, I believe, and a lot of people in my life when I was a kid they were NASCAR fans, right? So there was a time where I'd like watch around. There's even if you found like my elementary school or middle school yearbooks, you would see pictures of me wearing like Richard Petty fucking shirts and shit like that, right? And
Dale.
I don't know, but this was a rental, you know, and it was a common rental at my house, and I loved this movie. Hardee's had just switched to their blue and orange branding at the time. They started doing fried chicken down here, and I loved it. So I loved the Hardee's car, and I loved Mellow Yellow. In fact, I tried to get a bottle of Mellow Yellow so I could have some Mellow Yellow for the stream tonight, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, is they still make that shit? Like, I don't fucking know.
Mountain Dew killed him.
Yeah, Mountain Dew, and I can find Sundrop anywhere, but Mellow Yellow is hard as fuck to find. But anyway, I was a big Mellow Yellow fan back in the day too. But I loved this movie as a kid for some fucking reason, and I never went back to it, right? And when we came up with the idea of doing Cruise Choice this year involving Tom Cruise movies, the first movie that came to my head was Vanilla Sky. Great movie. But then I was like, you know what? That's too easy. Let's do Days of Thunder. I hadn't seen it in forever. It's always been in the back of my head. And I'm going to tell you all this. I'm glad I picked it. I had a lot of fun on the rewatch. Like, I sat down Tuesday night to watch this movie, and I'm like, I'm prepared. I'm prepared for this to be absolute drivel and just shit. And it wasn't. It wasn't because it's got a really great cast that gives their all, including Robert Duvall, like MVP of this movie. The racing, as preposterous as everything is, this is not a factual representation of what NASCAR is like, but it is a good representation of what it feels like to its fans and those that are involved in it, right? When I put it on, first thing you see is a couple Confederate flags, and I was like, oh shit, right? And then
That's all they had. Yeah,
then all of a sudden, like, I'm digging the movie. Like, it's Top Gun 2.0. It's literally, I don't like to give Roger Ebert credit, but he deserves this credit. He pointed out it's the same structure as Top Gun, Cocktail, and The Color of Money. It's the exact same fucking thing. You just take Pool and change it out with cars, or change out the cars for fucking jets, or change out the jets for making drinks, right? It's like this, literally the same fucking movie, which is, in a way, a version of the hero's journey, right? But I tell you what, I'm coming out of this. I'm coming out the other side of this as a fan of this movie, like a legitimate fan. I think Tony Scott did such a great job of making it feel intense. Like, all of the racing scenes are fucking intense. It's not what real racing is. Like, NASCAR is boring as shit to me. Like, if they really want to be surprised at me, turn right. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a fucking circle. But this movie really makes it, like, I would love to see this in like IMAX or 3D or some shit. Like, this would be fucking awesome. It makes it feel so intense, so fast. There's way more wrecks. Those wrecks are some of the most gnarly fucking wrecks I've ever seen in a movie. They are fucking awesome. Hans Zimmer does the score. It's not his greatest score, but I think it's pretty solid. I really, really like this movie. I picked this as a joke. I was like, let's what random ass fucking movie could be the next 500,000 fucking views, right? Like, if Cyborg could do it, maybe Days of Thunder can do it. We're hoping so, but I had a lot of fun watching this, you know, and I hesitated. I did not buy this on Blu-ray. I activated a free trial to Paramount on Amazon to watch this. I want to buy it. I want to see it. And I think I want to keep watching this movie. I love this movie. It's so bad at times, but at the same time, it's fucking awesome. This movie blew me the fuck away. My expectations were so low that the fact that this was halfway decent with some really cool action really fucking got me. So I thought it was a great Robbie week watch, and I'm very happy that I did. Tom Cruise is good. Nicole Kidman, this is her first American film debut, which I didn't realize that. But this is the movie where actually Nicole and Tom met. They, of course, got married that same year. The movie had a lot of problems. They were constantly rewriting the script. They were constantly going over budget. It was so hectic that they actually forgot to film the scene where Cole crosses the finish line at the Daytona 500. So they had to like recreate a bunch of shit and spend a bunch more money to like make it, right? So even though this movie had a budget of about 60 million and it made just shy of 158 million, it was still kind of considered not a success. And it led Tom Cruise into taking more control of the movies. And some would say, it has been stated that this is the end of the young Tom Cruise career. And a lot of people also say this is the last 80s movie, right? Because this was the point where like everything now in 1990 started feeling dated about it, right? Even at the time of its release, with the dude from Whitesnake doing some of the music and shit like that. But I really like this movie. I think it's got some strong performances. It's not the greatest. It ain't Akira Kurosawa or nothing, but I think it's a pretty respectable movie. It ain't Nightmare Sisters, but it's pretty respectable. Speaking of respectable, what about you, Jelani? What did you think about Days of Thunder on the rewatch, my man?
Well, just for the record, I cannot stand NASCAR. It is trash. I preface that by saying yes, it is quite boring. It's so boring, like I could not watch it at all. But for some reason, NASCAR movies, I am all about. Talladega Nights, Cars, Days of Thunder. Actually, Days of Thunder is pretty decent. It's a pure action movie. It's pure adrenaline. It's just one of those movies where it's like, yeah, I feel the need for speed. And it's Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is one of my idols. And I'm glad we're doing Cruise Choice. He is one of my favorite actors, especially after Mission Impossible. I respect the guy because he does his own stunts. I don't know if he learned to drive a race car or not. He probably did. I don't know. And I do love Far and Away with him and Nicole Kidman. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah, I love Far and Away.
You do love a love story.
It's a love story. It's a huge love story. So I like Days of Thunder. It's not a love story. It's more action. It's more camaraderie with the fellas, building a car, wrecking a car.
That's a love story.
It is
right?
a love
It's
story.
a love story between Robert Duvall and that car. It's a love story between Randy Quaid and his money. It's a love story between Michael Rooker and Tom Cruise.
And Tom Cruise, the basically, yeah, as we get to it, the wheelchair race scene is my favorite scene.
Dude, there's some fan fiction out there where right after that wheelchair race, they fuck.
Yeah.
They just the sexual tension is so thick.
It's powerful. He gets him over the pool table.
If you're gonna talk about my fan fiction, I would appreciate you plugging the website. All right.
Yeah, right. Okay. What was the name of that short story? I bet I can come faster than you.
That was the working title, but I never got around to fixing it.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's a decent movie. I think it's all right for what it was. I think I remember watching this in the theater. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm trying to remember. No, I saw this on HBO. This is an HBO movie because I don't think I would have watched anything with Confederate flags at the beginning. It was weird, but you have to realize the whole like Confederate flag thing at NASCAR. That was a normal thing for a very, 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 very long time. It was a
very normal thing down here in the South for a long time, man.
Talladega had one of the biggest Confederate flags flying just like on the street. Like as you're driving on the highway beside it, it's this huge Confederate flag, and that's all you see. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm in Talladega. Cool. And you're just going through. So I mean, the fact they took it down, they had to take all that crap down. It's just irritating. I know how that starts a movie, but it is the culture, and they didn't. They got close to the culture in Days of Thunder. I think that Talladega Nights nailed it a little better, but I liked it. I still like this movie. All the cast was fantastic. Yeah, you're saying that Robert Duvall is the MVP of this movie. He's just he's so down to earth, and you know he killed that guy by messing up that car.
The motherfucker's like, there's a lot of plot holes in this fucking movie, but like
Yeah.
the biggest thing is like they're like, oh, you quit so that you could avoid the investigation. I don't think that's how that works.
No, I think they still investigate you.
If
You
they
still
think
go
you
to jail.
killed somebody,
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure you killed somebody. But yeah, it is what it is. He trusted him, and then like John C. Reilly, like the son of the guy that dies, still works with him in his pit crew. I'm like, that's weird. I probably wouldn't do that. And there's no tension between them. There should be, but it is what it is. But to me, it's a generic action movie made by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. Rest in peace, Don Simpson.
dude, Don Simpson was so into this movie. Literally, he's in the movie. Like he was supposed to be one of the main characters, even apparently originally.
His life was about that movie, man.
They wanted Dale Earnhardt to play Michael Rooker's character of Rowdy, and he didn't want to play a bad guy. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Man, rest in peace, Dale.
Number 3. There's just half the cars here in Alabama still have a 3 on their fucking
That's
window.
right, man. He's an intimidator.
Including Brooks's car. He's got that number 3 emblazoned right there on the hood, don't you, Brooks?
Not that I recall. Maybe. I just don't see it.
I always thought you were a big Babe Ruth fan. Anyway, Brooks, what did you think about Days of Thunder? Did you watch it before, or is this your first time?
No, this is my first time. I didn't like it. It's boring. I was so bored with this movie. I didn't. But I don't care about NASCAR at all. Like I never really gave much shrift to NASCAR. And like for all I know, this could be like the Citizen Kane of fucking NASCAR or stock car racing movies. But like it just didn't hit me, man. Like I was just like, God, this movie sucks. I'm sorry, dude.
I feel so bad building it up so much on Wednesday then. I was like, dude, this movie's actually way better than I thought it would be.
Dang, Brooks. You Iron Eagled it.
It's just a matter of perspective, I guess. I actually heard the soundtrack on this one, though.
All right, Brooks, so you didn't like it.
I did not.
Okay. All right. Speaking of not liking something, Manny, we don't really like you, but we tolerate you here for some reason.
Dude, I totally understand. I get it. I'm pretty. I bring in that demographic.
We got to have a pretty threshold here, so you help fill those numbers. What did you think about Days of Thunder? What's your history with it?
You need to add 1 me and 1 Joe just to equal 1 Steph, though. That's the thing. In terms of pretty factor. But here's the deal. I had no history with Days of Thunder. I've seen it before, but I don't know, dude. I grew up in San Francisco and then moved to Minneapolis. So like we're not NASCAR people. So there wasn't any real major tie to it. Actually, the thing that for me Days of Thunder symbolizes to me is Paramount's Great America out in San Jose, California. That amusement park had the Days of Thunder ride, which, puts you in this big 3D screen with these moving seats, and you get to follow through the big race at the end from the driver's perspective. And that's one of my favorite rides. So when I heard that this was actually a film with Tom Cruise and I could watch it, I did. And it was never bad, but again, it just gets lost in the Top Gun, noisy, old school, Jerry Bruckheimer kind of universe. So I enjoy the film for what it is. I don't look too deeply for too much from it, but I can't say that I have like a massive, attachment to Days of Thunder.
Okay, so you thought it was like...
It's aight.
All right.
It's no Page Master.
Joe is fuck you, man. Joe, I'm very curious to hear what you got to think about Days of Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I dislike it to the levels that Brooks does, but it's like it is one of those things where it's like, but I could just watch Top Gun instead. It's the same fucking movie, except everything's better about it. So it kind of falls into this. It kind of falls into this category of like, it's not bad, but who cares? Like there are some benefits here. This is one of the very few Tom Cruise movies that actually leans into the fact that he's short.
Yeah. Okay.
Like they actually show him looking short and shorter than most people for a lot of it, which is interesting. The ending blows. Like it's like that's it.
You don't like the freeze
know?
frame? You don't like the.
Well, it adds to the
cup. He wins a cup at the end of this, right? Did you see?
Yeah, it's just sort of like, oh, he wins this race. I guess we care that he won. Like the movie doesn't do a great job at ever letting the audience really know why we care about any of this. Like it's just like going along, and it's like, you care about this, right? And it just like keeps going. It's like I guess the movie wants me to care about this race. Like it's very disjointed. It's very like Robert Duvall's just like, Tom Cruise, I want you to, we're gonna have you drive a car. Okay. And he loses a couple of races. You should stop losing. Okay. And then he wins. And then he gets a concussion. And then he's better. And then he wins again. The end. And it's like, all right, I guess. Oh, sure, and the dialogue should be a criminal offense for this movie. The dialogue is fucking off. Like this movie is saved. But like if this movie, and I get these are big components of it, but if it wasn't Tony Scott, Hans Zimmer, Tom Cruise, and Robert Duvall, if you didn't have any of those four, like if you take one of them away, this is like fucking Jenga, And then without any of those, like if you didn't have any of those, this is beyond forgettable. This is straight up gutter trash that no one would bring up. This is straight up this would have been on Mystery Science Theater 3000. Like But yeah, because like it basically, they really dolled up one gnarly fucking person that you'd never look twice at, And it was like they really dolled them up with by throwing in Tom Cruise, Robert Duvall, Tony Scott, and Hans Zimmer. But yeah, very. I mean, this movie was so bad at the box office. What was it? Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer lost their contract with Paramount because of how much this movie blowed. Like, yeah. I mean, most
of they got the box office numbers seem good, but I think a lot of that came from like rentals, like later on. Like, I think it kind of found its life there. But yeah, you're right. Like, they lost their contract with Paramount because of this movie.
Yeah, they lost their Paramount. Hans Zimmer hates this score.
Does.
He hates it. Tom Cruise is not happy with this movie. Like,
he's not happy with it because he hadn't fixed his tooth yet, man. That's why. But
no, like this is a movie that like people really weren't happy about. It really was pushing it by just redoing that same plot over and over again. I'd rather watch not only Top Gun, I'd rather watch The Color of Money. I'd rather watch Cocktail. Like I think all of those are better movies. And then you get to Days of Thunder, and it's like, this is gorgeous. I agree in that, like, you know what? If this came out in IMAX because it's such a beautiful movie, that's worth it. But like, this is the kind of movie where it's like, if you can see this in IMAX or on a really big screen with an amazing sound system, go for it. If you're like on a plane, no, fucking don't do it. Like, this is not a plane movie. Do not do it.
Wow.
All right, we got some great opinions here on Days of Thunder. So let's get into the cast. I one of the things that really surprised me was the cast. I had forgotten that Randy Quaid was in this movie. I forgot Robert Duvall was in this movie. All I remembered was Nicole Kidman, Michael Rooker, and Tom Cruise. That's all I remembered. And I remembered the cars. And maybe it's because I'm 9 years old, but like the cars look so awesome to me, right? And I was really digging it, but it does have a good cast. Now, since it is Robbie week, if anybody wants to know what Robbie week means, that means that Friday. It's my birthday! So I get to go first tonight. I am going to go for my favorite performance and character. I'm going to go with Michael Rooker as Rowdy Burns. Michael Rooker is fucking phenomenal in this movie. And I wish he had more in it. It feels like there's a lot on the cutting room floor for this movie, or maybe other stuff. If they forgot to film him fucking crossing the finish line, maybe they forgot to film like why Carrie Elwes is such a douchebag. Maybe they forgot to film how Michael Rooker and Tom Cruise became fucking friends, because they go from like hated fucking enemies to like besties in the next fucking scene, right? Which is another thing, straight from fucking Top Gun, straight from Cocktail, straight from fucking Color Money. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a rival who turns out to be a red herring villain, and then there's a real villain who rears up his head at the end, right? So, but Michael Rooker is fucking awesome in everything he's ever in, including this movie. I love him. I love that bit in the beginning when he shows up. Tom Cruise shows up, and Michael Rooker's like, oh, he's driving my car, and it's just such a, like, him and Tom have a really good chemistry. And apparently Michael Rooker is actually a big racing fan, right? And I watched a video where like somebody, by the way, most of the movie reviews on YouTube for this movie are from NASCAR channels, which cracks me the fuck up. I'm like, racing channels are the ones that cover this. But Michael Rooker is phenomenal, man. But there's that scene where he shows up and like, when he has to agree to allow him to drive his car, and he goes and he like leans on the motherfucker's bike. Like, yeah, let's see what happens. Put a scratch on this car, motherfucker. I'm trouncing this fucking bike. Right. But I think he does a great job. He brings an intensity. He plays that stubborn nature of the Southern man, especially not just Southern men, but like a certain generation of men that like refuse to go to the hospital, refuse to get surgeries, refuse to get checked up. They play that very well, but it's like, what is the movie trying to do? It does kind of meander around too much with what are we supposed to be focusing on? Some things could have been better, including knowing how that friendship blossomed between Cole and Rowdy. But regardless of this movie not giving us enough information for that, Michael plays it perfectly. Like, he plays that begrudged friend perfectly. And I really do love him in this movie. What about you, Jelani? What's the performance you want to highlight?
I'm going to take the obvious ones. I'm going to go with Nicole Kidman. And I go with Nicole Kidman because she's hot. That's it.
Still had her Australian accent.
Yeah, she couldn't hide that just enough, right? Like she was.
She had no way to do it. It was like one of her first movies, and she was Australian off the jump, and that's fine. She was an Australian. I mean, it's okay. You have Australian lady doctors. It happens. And the prank that Tom Cruise plays on her totally is a Me Too moment, because you kind of get rude. It's a cancelable offense, but she's all right in it.
Robert Duvall told him, man, he's like straight up. He was like, no, dude, no, this is for real. Like, you don't fuck around here.
This is your doctor. And I liked her scene where she like chews out Tom Cruise and she like ends it. She's like, I cannot believe I had to act like a doctor in front of you. I don't know. I love that scene. I have no clue why. And Nicole Kidman was very hot back then.
Yeah, I like Nicole Kidman. She's good in the movie, but to be honest, I'm getting kind of tired of Nicole Kidman because of the fucking AMC.
It's the AMC thing.
Yeah, God, every fucking time I got to see that shit. God.
Yeah.
Oh.
She has that little vignette, and it ruins her like as a person.
And dude, it is so weird, and it also looks like part of it CG or AI'd or something, man. I don't know if you guys go to AMC theaters, Joe and Manny, but like before every fucking movie, they play this dumbass thing with her. They've been playing it for fucking years, and they just still
the commercial for the theater that you're sitting and watching the movie in.
Yeah, no shit. Like, bro, I'm here. You got my money. It's all good. Play the fucking movie, please.
I usually like clap at the end and hoot and holler, just fuck it.
Because here They are. It's so fucking stupid. I
It's
can
so
quote
weird.
that shit. I'm like a fucking. I'm like an 8-year-old girl watching fucking Princess Bride at a church lock-in, fucking quoting every goddamn line.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she's watching Jurassic World, brother. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I don't think Nicole Kidman went and watched Jurassic World.
Someone edited that where it's Nicole Kidman just watching Lady Gaga getting railed in House of Gucci.
Fair enough.
Jesus.
But yeah, it's and then I love her curly hair. Her hair was so curly. She stopped doing that, and I was like, "Oh, why did you stop doing that? That was like the coolest thing about you."
I watched this one podcast where these dudes were talking about the scene when he's like explaining drafting to her using like sugar packets or whatever.
Mhm.
And they're like, that scene was so fucking awkward. Like, she didn't want him touching him. And he's like, yeah, you know, some people are like, I don't like to be talked to or fucking touched after sex. So fuck off. Right? Yeah, that was the chemistry that you got, right? Speaking of not liking to be touched after sex, Brooks, what do you think about the performances? What's one you want to highlight?
I liked Carrie Elways' character as the true villain, I guess. I think he was very underplayed, though. Like, he just kind of shows up. He's like, I guess he's like the replacement at first. So he's kind of like, you know, gives him a little snide comment. But like, you know, I didn't like Tom Cruise's character in this movie very much. So like, I actually ended up liking the villain more, and it was kind of low key rooting for him throughout most of the movie. And I thought it was kind of funny how like at the end, like they kind of hint at that he has a gay relationship. It's like they kind of pull back from it, like they show him like talking to this guy. And it's like he leans in for a kiss, but at the last second he like pulls back and gets in his car. So like I thought, like, man, that would have been an interesting, you know, something to do with his character, but like, you know, he didn't really get much. Like he didn't even get like a defeat moment where he's just like, oh, Tom Cruise defeated me. I'm so sad. So like, yeah, I just wish they'd used him a little better.
There is that bit where he wins that one race and Tom Cruise goes back out there and like runs into him, and I'm like, bro, that's when you're banned from the fucking sport,
like,
bro.
What a dick.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like it's one of those things where like this movie makes you. They're like rubbing his racing, okay, but like you're not playing fucking Demolition Derby out there, right?
Mm.
Like if anybody did that, they would be like. They'd be out of the sport. They'd be out of it. Like they wouldn't be able to do it anymore, right? Like it's, I don't know. It's
like you're fired. You're
yeah, like no shit. But I get what you're saying, Carrie. I didn't pick up on the on that stuff that you.
It's like just a very brief little moment. Like it's like right
Could
before
you
the
imagine?
last race. Like it shows where he's talking to Nicole Kidman. Like the racers are like talking to somebody right before the race starts. Like it shows him this dude and he's talking to him. And it was like maybe I was looking too much into it. But
dude, could you imagine 1990? They make a movie about NASCAR and it involves a queer relationship. Like people would have been.
It's like they were like they thought about like no.
People have been losing their fucking minds. NASCAR would have not have hit the heights of popularity it did in the 90s if that would have been the case. This movie's kind of
Jeff
credited.
Gordon, and he was a straight guy.
This movie's credited as kind of like helping spark some of the public interest into NASCAR, which was gaining traction at that time. ESPN was covering it and shit like that. So what about you, Manny? What do you think about the performances? Which one you want to highlight?
Let's go with Don Simpson as Aldo Benedetti. Because here's the deal. This film had Tony Scott. It had the writer of Chinatown, Tom Cruise, fucking Robert Duvall doing like all the heavy lifting. Like it's following on the heels of its spiritual predecessor, Top Gun. And this fucking coked out, like, egotistical fucking producer managed to derail the whole fucking thing. So, like, when we talk about villains and we talk about Michael Rooker's character as this Vegeta type, and we talk about Carrie Ells as this or Elwes or however the fuck you say his name as this like unsung villain that they just threw in the last hour. The real fucking villain, the real Machiavellian fucking guy hiding in the shadows this whole damn time is Aldo Benedetti. So that's who I'm going with.
Man.
There's a story that he actually he had like the I guess like a rap party or like a premiere party or some shit like that, right? And everybody showed up, and they didn't book any music. They barely had any food, but they had plenty of sex workers there. Like, that's the kind of person Don Simpson was.
I think Patrick Willems in his video said that he had 2 Coke assistants, 2 people whose only job was to make sure that he had plenty of Coke. Like, that man is a fucking
I watched
hero.
one review that said this movie needed a little bit more cocaine. It would probably
Dude, I want to know what was actually like the real script of this, dude, because Robert Towne had like 2 like farms and barns built for this film, like for poignant dramatic emphasis that they cut. Like, what was in the actual script? Was there some deep fucking Chinatown style puzzle, or was it just like confusing and forgettable since day one, like Tequila Sunrise? Like what Robert Towne were we getting in this film? That's what I want to know.
Hell yeah. All right, Joe, what about you? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I don't know. Tom Cruise is pretty good. Could do that. But you know, it's so this movie's PG-13, and a big part of why is because Randy Quaid's whole like spiel in that one moment where he just goes, "We end up looking like a monkey fucking a football out there."
That shit cracked me up so much. I swear I had literally like, coaches say that, man.
Yeah, and it's just like, what like, it's, I feel like they could have pretty easily gotten this a PG, like, and if you cut that and like you maybe downplay like a little bit of the violence ever so slightly, you probably could have got this a PG, probably could have got more people to see it. It probably would have made more money. But a big part of
there's no nudity. What's the point of
this? Exactly. You know, so it's just
it's like, rated R and it's no nudity. What's the point of you?
Yeah. So like, you know, either fucking go for it or don't. So I got to give it partially to Randy Quaid for being involved with that line that helped cripple this movie at the box office. Was it worth it, guys? Was saying that a monkey fucking a football, was it worth it? Was it worth hemorrhaging millions of dollars over? Is it ever worth hemorrhaging millions of dollars for Randy Quaid? Lots of questions.
I can imagine that being the one line that like Tom Cruise is fighting for. You know, like, no, we got to keep that in there.
Yeah.
But other than that, Randy Quaid is not acting. He's just like the same Randy Quaid in every goddamn movie he's in. You know who else isn't acting in this movie at all? Is Fred Thompson, who also plays Fred Thompson in every movie that he's in. So I'd like to highlight. Yeah, those fucks that can't act, that just act as themselves in every movie. So there's my highlight.
Well, nobody said Robert Duvall, but I think we all agree he's the best performance in the Kingdom.
Oh my God, yeah.
I didn't take him because I thought I was like, well, nobody's good.
I watched this one video where it was like, you know, his character in Gone in 60 Seconds. I think this is a sequel to Days of Thunder. Like, he gets disgraced in NASCAR again, becomes like a fucking car thief, fucking like a chop shop owner and shit like that.
He's like an old mechanic grandpa. Basically.
Yeah. All right. Style and structure. This movie oozes style. Style is one of the best things about this movie. The style is one of the best things about every Tony Scott movie, right? Now, his big brother is Ridley Scott, right? And Ridley kind of took him under his wing early in his career and said, hey, come with me. Let's make some commercials. Let's make some money. He's a big car guy. I've been watching my Legend special features, right? My Legend Blu-ray. And on there, they have the Ridley Scott, the director's movie, that, you know, the documentary series. I don't remember who did it, like A&E or somebody, Bravo maybe. Somebody did that series, the directors. And there's a Ridley Scott one that's on that Legend Blu-ray. And he talks about that. He's like, you know, my brother was a big car guy. So I said, hey, screw the BBC. Come make commercials with me. You'll have a Ferrari in a week, right? He said he was a big car guy. And then I'm thinking about it as I'm watching. I'm like, that makes sense. Why this movie would appeal to Tony Scott. He loves cars. He loves fast. He loves style. even Joe said this movie looks fucking amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So much sunsets and fucking all that shit. And that's in every Tony Scott movie. Tony Scott knows how to make a pretty fucking movie. It's got the style. I love all of the car scenes. The crashes are intense. The speed seems crazy and out of nowhere. I love the style of this film. Structure, it's a little bloated in the middle, for sure, right? It slows the fuck down. For a movie that, throughout a lot of its running time, is very fast and kinetic, it slows the fuck down after the bit where Michael Rooker goes into a coma and they're going through the doctor and all that. It just slows down so much. But luckily, we have some really nice comedic bits that carry that through, which including the wheelchair race, which cracks me the fuck up, and the rental car race. Like, I don't know. I love those bits, but it structurally does have some issues. It could be trimmed down maybe just a little bit, or actually either trim down or actually add in some more bits about Cary Elwes's character, right? Like how that's involved. Well, why he's got such a, is it because Tom Cruise kind of snubbed him that one time because he was on the fucking phone? Like, you know, give us a little bit more backstory. Show us the development of the friendship of Michael Rooker and Tom Cruise. So I think structurally it's got some issues, but style-wise, I think it's top notch. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the style and structure?
Yeah, I agree. The style of it, I mean, it looks great. It's a typical NASCAR movie. I mean, it has all the bells and whistles, although this is the one that did bring it out to the forefront. But this one is very shiny. It's very fast-paced. It does slow down during during the rehabilitation and all that stuff. Like, it's jarring as far as the structure goes. Like, you're in the middle of this fast movie, you're right, and it just stops. You stop all your momentum, and it makes that movie clunky. It does make it very clunky. It is a very generic movie. I do have to say that. Like, it's the beginning, the middle, the end. It has the hero's journey. It does what it needs to do, but it puts it together so it's very haphazard. And like you said before, it doesn't even have there were ending race scenes. It doesn't have the pieces of why the characters have their motivation. They don't do anything. And to be honest, I mean, not that that works, but Cary Elwes is such a nothing burger of a character. He's just there. He's just one of those characters that's just like, why? I mean, yeah, you're bad. Yeah, something happened, but he's just nothing. Even when he loses, like you said, there are no shots of him looking like he was mad that he lost. It doesn't give us the rivalry that we need to see from those two. You get it from Michael Rooker, who likes to rub him. He rubs him a lot. Pause. But
I think that's what got cut out with some of those rubbing scenes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying there was a little bit more going on there at that weekend getaway with the wives.
Yeah. I'm still saying that the wheelchair scene is the best scene in the entire movie.
I fucking love the wheelchair scene, dude.
It's
so
like,
fucking stupid.
Why are you doing this? Why are y'all racing in a hospital? Like, surprisingly not knocking over people or other patients that are like hobbling down the hallway.
They should have knocked over like a fucking burn victim or something. He just started screaming in pain.
It made it worse.
It's like when Carl in Aquatine is made of eyeballs and he takes a step and he's just like,
that all the time. And so, but yeah, like I said, it's a very clunky movie. It's shiny, it's pretty, but it's very clunky. That's all I got to say about it.
Speaking of clunky, but very shiny and pretty on the outside, Brooks, what did you think about the style and structure of Days of Thunder?
I found this movie to be kind of bland, to be honest. Like, it's very, like, there. Yeah. This is like my English Patient, in a way, I feel like.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Like a movie everybody's
comparing
like,
this to English Patient,
so
man.
great. But I'm like,
I do hate the English Patient. That movie's long and boring and stupid.
It's like the thing. I think that the main thing about this movie is that I don't like the main character, like Tom Cruise's character. Like, It's like I feel no reason to like this guy. Like the first time he showed up on the motorcycle, I was like, oh my god, really? And like I was like, well, maybe he'll get better. You know, he'll go through a journey, he'll learn and grow and all that. He doesn't. He's just it's boring. He's a boring character, and I think he sucks a lot of the energy out of the movie. To be honest, like that's just my perspective. You know, I'm not saying like he's not bad. He isn't a bad actor in the movie.
Tom Cruise yet.
I think his character is bad.
I don't know, man. I think comparing this to English Patient's kind of a fucking. It's actually you just offended me, man. Like that's some bullshit, dude.
I'd rather watch Sack Lunch.
Here's the thing. I bet we could all agree that this movie's better than Cats, but Brooks. I bet Brooks likes Cats better than this movie. So fuck you, Brooks. All right. So
they'd have put Rum Tum Tugger in that race car. Maybe I'd have liked it.
Manny, what do you think about the style and structure?
I mean, it's a pretty movie. Like you said, lighting, camera works good. I like the.
They filmed at actual races. They filmed at an actual Daytona 500, like back in like 90, because this movie was supposed to come out in June. Dude, it got delayed. Like this movie was like, cocaine did not help this one.
Dude, I was watching on Fox Sports. There was a documentary about the cinematography on this film. And because that's how fucking important Days of Thunder is, that Fox Sports has a documentary about the cinematography. But it was like,
of course, Fox loves this movie.
22 RE Flex 35 millimeter cameras, and Panavision had to get all of their lenses from all around the world called in so that they could set all 22 cameras around the racetrack. And like. That's crazy. Like just even as a camera file like I am, like the RE Flex camera, if you've ever had the privilege of using one or seeing one, in college we got to play with one, and it's that quintessential fucking filmmaker camera. You know what I mean? It's the big fucking reel. What's cool with that camera is that normally with a cinema camera you have like because of the way the mirror is, you have a parallax when you look through it. You don't have that with the RE Flex. Like it is such an intuitive camera. So when you are filming like fast and quick to I don't know, it's just a really smart decision from Tony Scott. Like it's those sorts of choices that make you wonder why this is such a formulaic by the numbers movie. Like they know what they're doing. Everybody fucking knows what they're doing in this film, and they know so well what they're doing. I think any fault in terms of style and structure in this is going to boil down to story. And I think, obviously it's the only film Tom Cruise has ever have a writing credit on. And so take from that what you will, but also, I think a lot of it falls on the feet of the true villain of this film, Aldo Bernadetti, because why didn't they do Top Gun again? I mean, we keep saying Top Gun 2, and it is Top Gun 2, but it's Top Gun's lesser fucking product, right? This is old Panic at the Disco when Fall Out Boy was hot. Not new Panic at the Disco, but old Panic at the Disco when Fall Out Boy was still hot. Like, it's the lesser product of the same thing, because Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson, I have the sinking suspicion that they were like, they got that big deal from Paramount, and they're like, we're going to do something different. We're not going to make a music video film. We're not going to have, we're not going to do the exact thing that worked for Beverly Hills Cop, for Top Gun, for every fucking film that they had made, Flashdance, up to that point. They decided to do something different. And so style and structure, everybody here worked their ass off. Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, Robert Duvall, they all worked their ass off. Tony Scott, Ward Russell, they all worked their ass off. And the straw that broke the camel's back is the fucking producers, in my opinion. But otherwise, it's a very well-made film.
All right, Joe, style and structure, what you think?
Well, first, can you define for me, Manny, what's the the delineation there between old Panic at the Disco and new Panic.
Because I was going to brush by that, but I'm going to Panic. The first two albums, that's the best Panic in my opinion.
In my opinion too, but that's my era. Like if you were to ask like my daughter right now, Panic at the Disco didn't start until High Hopes, right? Like she doesn't fuck with any old Panic at all. But High Hopes or any fucking cover that he's done of any sort of
did they do the Century song?
No, that was Fall Out Boy.
That's Fall Out Boy.
That's Fall Out Boy.
They all sound the same.
Yeah.
That's right.
And as much as I try to impart wisdom and knowledge, it falls flat. It falls flat. But they're on a poppy upward slope now for Panic, and so
people are still talking about Disco,
just like Pokemon. I have no clue, man. I still don't understand it.
But like,
absolutely,
I need to. I'm gonna have to ask around because this is the first time hearing that we're still talking about Panic at the Disco.
This is the first time anyone's dissected one of my throwaway jokes. That's just making me uncomfortable, Joe.
Oh well, no problem. I'm happy to do it. So, like everyone else fucking said, style. Oh my god, gorgeous. Can't get enough of it. Structure. What's this? Why are you bothering? But yeah, I mean, Manny also brought up the point about the Tom Cruise writing credit. I don't know if what that says, if it says more about Tom Cruise or more about was it Robert Towns, the script right here. I think it says more about him not giving anything close to a fuck with this movie. And like, I don't know, whatever. Tom, you want to help me finish this thing I don't care about? It sounds more like that. Which would make a lot of sense. But like, honestly, I mean, the fact...
Imagine getting hired. If you're Robert Towne, you wrote Chinatown. And you get asked to make this fucking movie by Tom Cruise, and he's like, I want to make a semi-biographical film about a guy named Dick Trickle. Right away. He's like, no,
Cole's based on a real dude named Dick Trickle, dude. That's his actual fucking name.
Dick Trickle.
It sounds like some NASCAR shit. I understand.
I get
it.
But yeah, it's just like, not only is this like the structure like stale, but it's like it's stale in a way that it's just so bad. Like, I mean, it's so forced. So much of what happens very much feels like, well, this is the point in the movie where this has to happen. And like their big setup payoff joke is sexual assault. Like that's the big setup payoff that we spend way too much of the runtime on. Like the fact that that's like a good solid over 5 minutes between both of those scenes of that movie is just like, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, and not only that, the scene with Nicole Kidman where he's just, everyone's spending 3 minutes being like, Tom, just fucking believe us, all right? And he's like, no, hand, dick now in front of everybody. Why does he want her doing that in front of everybody? But also, why are they all like doing the product placement with the Coke can? They're all like wearing their, like, they're all like in a hospital room, like decked out like Coca-Cola employees. Like
they're stock car racers. They got Mel Yeller car. Well, not that.
No, but this is the thing.
Not that scene, but they have it. This is stock car shit, man.
You gotta live
NASCAR, man, brother. You don't know where you are? That's North Carolina, man. Woo!
This is literally the point I'm making, is that they are the product placement is baked into the concept and they still fuck it up. and they still do it poorly. And it's like you literally don't have to think about the product placement at all. It is baked into the plot of the movie, and then they still do stupid shit like that. Like it's that level of stuff is like, that's unforgivable. That's like, this is fucking, I can't believe how bad you are at this thing you're trying to do. I can't believe these people are that bad at spending at least $60 million. Can you imagine? Can you imagine talking about any other movie and trying to make it sound respectable while also throwing in, they forgot to film the end of the movie. They forgot to film the climax. If I was a studio head and Tony Scott came to me and was like, hey, we're looking over the footage and it turns out we forgot to shoot the ending, I'd be like, you didn't forget anything. You're gone. Someone else will do it. Like, holy fuck, how do you dare tell me you're passionate about a project and then be like, oh, we forgot to film the fucking ending? Like, insane. Can you imagine that? That's like the amount of just fuck ups like scattered throughout this movie is phenomenal.
Do you know how they're like every addict will never try to change until they hit rock bottom? That's what Days of Thunder is for the excess of the 80s fucking action film, right? It is rock bottom. It is like literally like, fuck, we didn't film the bit where Tom Cruise crosses the fucking finish line. We got to fucking recreate this whole goddamn track to like get this in, man. Like, that's not cheap, man. That's probably why they had to go for Coca-Cola too. They're like, we already got Mellow Yellow on board. Let's get Coca-Cola. We got Superflow, which was the new oil from Exxon at the time. But anyway, let's talk about the music. Hans Zimmer. So I'm watching this fucking movie, and the movie starts, and I'm paying attention to the credits, and it's like music by Hans Zimmer. And I seriously was like, no fucking way. I was like, what? This dude is 4 years away from making Lion King. He makes this movie. Funny story. So they bring Hans Zimmer in. They're like so far behind on production of this movie. They bring him in and he's like talking with them. He's like, yeah, maybe I could do this. And they're like, no, you don't understand. We need this done right now. In fact, if you want to do this, like, you can't leave. You need to like score the movie right here, right now. He was like, I don't have anything. I just thought this was a meeting for like a day. They kept that motherfucker there. Right. Like, don't worry. We'll get you new clothes. We'll get all the shit. And then other people were like, we've never been on set with a composer, but they were already so far behind on this movie. They knew they had to get Hans in to compose the fucking film basically on set, right? Not because they're like Dario Argento. They think it's going to add something to the movie, but because they're like, fuck, when did we say we were going to deliver this movie? It's like Don Simpson went, did you say June? Fuck, dude, that's like 4 weeks away. What the fuck are we doing? We better get this movie going, right? But even though Hans Zimmer's embarrassed by the movie, I think for what it is, for the last hurrah of the 80s action film, I think the score kind of works for what it is, man. It's not great. It's nothing compared to what he typically does, but I think it matches the movie. So I think the score is pretty solid, and I think it's okay. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the music?
Yeah, I mean, it's no Driving Miss Daisy, but it's good. It's got its moments. It's got the adrenaline rush you need for what you're trying to accomplish. It's got that boom, 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 kind of pepped up music in this verse. And I think they played Sweet Home Alabama. I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember that.
There's a weird track in there that I've heard like 97 million times, and I'm like, oh, okay. It was generic as all get out. I can't remember what it was. Dadgummit, that's gonna bother me. It's towards the beginning of the movie, but it was just generic. It was just thrown in there. It was kind of lazily thrown in. I really wish I could remember what it was, but it's okay.
I'll tell you this, man. This movie could have used Kenny Loggins.
Yeah. It needs Highway to the Danger Zone. or he
It
needed
needs
to
its,
write
yeah,
it.
it needs its
Or-
danger
They
zone.
made this one Skyway to the Danger Zone.
Yeah,
like the song that should have been in Top Gun is in Days of
Yeah.
Thunder, and the song that should have been Days of Thunder is in Top Gun.
Yeah.
it's just missing something. Yeah, it's missing a whole lot, and for what it is, it's fine. It's a typical Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer action fair score. That's it's all it is. It's got Hans Zimmer making it. That's all I can say about it. That's all it is.
Hans Zimmer doing that shit in like a weekend so we can get the
Yeah.
fuck back home.
Were
Like,
you-
these motherfuckers held me hostage. They held me hostage for this
Yes.
movie. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the music?
It's fine. I mean, it didn't put me to sleep.
Damn.
All right. Fair enough. What about you, Manny? What do you think about the music in the film?
It was good enough. I had a hell of a time finding it. Like, I mean, like, not in the movie. In the movie, it just kind of starts. It's like Top Gun when they just keep doing that Berlin dun 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 dun. Like, in this film, the music is noticeable. But like trying to listen to it after the fact, it was tough to find. Like, I had just a random YouTube video that had all the tracks put together.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video out that's got the whole score, which is like an hour long. The score.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
It sounds like '90s ESPN music too.
It's a little. It's just every track's a like. I don't know if it's because you're listening to it in a vacuum without like seeing what's on the screen, but like even like the opening song, it sounds so disjointed. Like it starts off almost sitcom-y, and then it gets fucking very intense, and then it kind of mellows back out again. Like it. So that was. You know, I mean that's not an astute observation. No student to music, but it was like that was the only thing that I noticed was listening to it in a vacuum. It's just whiplashy. But there's a lot of moments, like I don't know, 6-7 minutes into that YouTube video where you get like a really the choices that are made sound a lot like Russian cars. Like they're instruments, but it does sound a lot like Russian cars. Like it works. Like it ties in thematically with the film, which I suppose is the bare minimum you should do if you're scoring a movie. So yeah, it definitely meets the bar for.
You know, this movie is an Academy Award winner.
Is
Y'all
it?
know that? Yeah, it won for like best sound or some shit, like best sound editing or something like that.
That's
Yeah.
fair enough.
The Academy Award winning Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe? What do you think about the music?
The score is solid. The soundtrack kind of blows. Like all of the soundtrack is so forgettable. All of like the pop songs they include in this are
It's
not
dated at the time.
I cannot remember the beginning.
Right?
Of the song. It's so generic, and I'm like, I've heard it in every movie. I still can't remember what it was.
It doesn't make any sense why you would do that. Like what a waste. If the soundtrack was better, I think it would have elevated Hans Zimmer's score, and he also might have cared a bit more about it after the fact. Like I think this is easy to go back and not be a fan of if you scored it when the soundtrack blows this hard. But like if it was surrounded by a really good soundtrack, I think he would actually probably be a little more forgiving of his work on it.
Give me some loving. Give me some loving.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That song sucks so
It's-
hard.
it's
Oh my
generic.
god.
It's generic. It's just like, why did you just throw? I had to remember what it was. It took.
Yeah.
I had to
It
look
ain't no danger zone. It ain't no take my breath away.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Yeah.
hell no. All right. Well, we're the pop culture philosophers. We like to dig in a little bit into these movies. So, other than explaining to a novice what drafting is, what is this movie saying to you? What's it striving to say in its message? What's it speaking to you, Jelani? What's this movie about?
Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt are the greatest wrestler riding drivers ever to live. Woo!
You fucked up your own bit, dude. How that
Who cares? Roll Tide. Woo! NASCAR. There, I'm done. That's it. That's all.
That's all you got, really?
I ain't got shit, man. Well, I mean, other than the fact that like it's a guy trying to redeem himself, and it's a bunch of guys trying to also redeem themselves, and Michael Rooker gets hurt and doesn't get a chance to redeem himself. So, redemption? There, I'm done.
Okay,
got-
redemption
I-
definitely probably a part of it for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Brooks? What are you thinking?
Well, I think like it's kind of a mini theme of this movie is like, the whole idea of like how your pride can get the better of you, especially in regards to Michael Rooker's character. You know how he's all like, he's so disdainful of like, seeing a doctor and everything. It's like, dude, like you have the money. Like I'm sure you have probably pretty decent health insurance. Like see the fucking doctor if you think you need to see a fucking doctor. It's kind of like, this whole thing about like, Southern boys especially have this thing about pride, like, oh, I don't need anybody to check me out. I'm fine, like you could have your fucking like your arms hanging off by like a thread, and you're like, I'm fine. I'll just sleep it off.
Gatorade.
I'll just sleep it off. It'll be fine tomorrow. But it's like it's so dumb, It's like it's like you'll just be better if you just take care of yourself instead of just trying to like ignore all of your problems and like tough it out sometimes. You can't tough out everything.
Yeah, you can't tough out like a brain fucking hemorrhage or you know what I'm saying? You're like my brain's bleeding.
I'm fine. I just need to sit down for a second.
No shit.
So
What about you? What about you, Manny? What's this movie speaking to you?
Despite all of the flaws, despite everything we've talked about tonight, despite the lukewarm reception from the last three guys here, I think the film's deep. I think that when you look at the way that Tony Scott he wields the world of stock car racing as a metaphorical crucible, right? It's a fiery forge in which we examine the profound.
And Tom Cruise is the hammer.
Yeah, I think that there are eternal themes of mentorship and personal transformation and the unrelenting pursuit of greatness. I think that when you look at the way this film is structured, I think like when you look at Chinatown as a mystery, that's what Robert Towne gave us here. He gave us a divine mystery wrapped in NASCAR. At its pulsing heart, at Days of Thunder, it's a meditation on the sacred bond between mentor and protege. That same bond that Tony has with his brother Ridley, that alchemical relationship that transmutes raw talent into refined mastery. I think that when you take a look at Robert Duvall's crew and Robert Duvall himself as Harry Hodge, I think that is the veritable Merlin to Cruise's young King Arthur. I think that when you break down Duvall's personification of that sage guide who's imparting hard-won wisdom about both the art of racing and the fucking greater race of life, I think that is what this film is doing. I think that dynamic echoes the archetypal fucking pairings of myth and legend. I think that they are timeless tales of wise elders who throughout time have shepherded young heroes to their destiny.
Bro, you went deeper on this one than you did Surf Ninjas, man.
I'm just telling you. I think that Cole's Odyssey's about conquering it's not just about fucking conquering the track, Robbie. I think that you need to realize that this is a fucking profound voyage of self-discovery. This entire thing it's a vision quest for the fucking soul, Robbie. It's a vision quest for the soul.
Oh, the track is like life.
It is, dude, because there's trials, there's triumphs. He goes from being a fucking reckless, arrogant prodigy to a mature, fucking centered warrior poet, right? That's what Tom Cruise does. He's a fucking warrior poet of the fucking speedway. It's a fucking metaphor that is honestly, this mirrors every fucking Stoic philosopher that has come out.
It's true.
Because in this film, Tom Cruise shows us that fucking true excellence doesn't come from fucking external victories. It comes from the cultivation of inner virtues. He becomes disciplined. He becomes resilient. He masters himself.
Fuck, let's give Seneca co-writing credit on this one then. Shit.
I'm just telling you that the film whispers that greatness is forged in that white hot crucible of adversity, the one I was talking about. It's a fucking Herculean labor. It's a fucking Sisyphean struggle. All right. It's in that crucible that heroes are born. Cole's rivalry with Rowdy Burns, if you don't stop me, I'm gonna keep going, and Russ Wheeler, they're not just fucking subplots. Like, a lot of people can glaze over that. Those villains are underdeveloped. Fuck yeah, they're underdeveloped, but they are essential threads in the tapestry of this heroic journey. I mean, they are the
Manny's got a fucking Joseph Campbell book in front of him. He's just
they're the fucking
words and phrases right now.
They're the fucking dragons that Cole slays to get to the golden fleece of his own potential. Ultimately,
I agree with you, Manny. Let's stop there and let's throw it over
like
to
Zeus,
Joe.
giving Cole the means
Sure.
he needs, the chariot he needs to win the race.
I'm just curious here, though. Like, real quick before I get started, Manny, why are all your comedy bits relying on being as long as possible?
because I try to, because as long as I can bury the bit in bullshit, people don't know if I'm insightful or funny. I'm it's
honestly
my
because
sauce.
we're all trying to be courteous and let Manny finish, and then Manny like finishes, but then hears a silence, and then he can't bear the sound of that silence, so he just keeps fucking going.
I cannot.
You know, I actually I appreciate the sincere answer, but this movie is really about I guess you have to be brain damaged to win the Daytona 500 or whatever the fuck, right? Because it's brain damage. Because his brain swells, all that stuff. You gotta be brain damaged to do this shit.
Not the Kids in the Hall movie, which is way better than this one, but
yeah, no, absolutely, but no, yeah, you have to be brain damaged to, I guess, want to keep riding in NASCAR. So there.
Okay. All right. Manny was more on the page of where I was thinking, which to me, this movie is about the humility we need to be successful. So one of the things that we need to be successful is drive and ambition, right? And Cole Trickle has drive and ambition, but he has not learned humility. He has to admit that he doesn't know shit about cars. He has to trust his new father figure. So there is redemption, like you were talking about, Jelani, but like there's also the father figure mentorship that Manny was talking about, right? Where he has been disgraced by his father. Now he has to trust another father figure, like he did in Top Gun, Cocktail, and the other one that I forgot about. What's the other movie? Color of Money, right? But he has to. The thing is this: drive and ambition will get you so far, but you really do have to be. If you won't humble yourself, the world will, right? And trust is a big part of the movie because he trusts Robert Duvall's character, and it leads to him getting all fucked up, right? And he has to relearn trust and this kind of shit. Man, I'm really stretching for this one too. But no, to me, that's what it's about. It's about ambition and drive will only get you so far. You have to humble yourself, or the world will humble yourself. And how do you respond to that? Right? And you got to have trust in the people around you that love you, and you need to listen to them. And when they say go high or go low, outside, inside, do it. When Nicole Kidman says, "Let me out of this fucking rental car," you've gone too fucking far, bruh. And that's what the movie's about. It's about when you get wrapped up in your own drive and ambition and you can't listen to those around you. Well, would you rather humble yourself through the guidance of those closest to you? Or would you rather have the universe humble yourself by fucking going 200 miles an hour into a fucking Exxon fucking stock car? You know what I'm saying? So
y'all look way too deep in this movie.
fuck, I mean, that's what we're supposed to do here, dude.
Yep.
But, you know.
Into this one. Page Master.
You know what? Here's the thing. Seems like you guys don't like this movie as much as I liked it, and that's fine. I don't feel betrayed like I did on the fucking Funhouse
That was a terrible movie,
because Days of Thunder is not necessarily good, but I do enjoy it. But Funhouse is a fucking brilliant cinematic achievement, and I don't know why anybody would fucking say otherwise. All right, time to rate the film. You out there. Also, the other theme of the movie is drink Mellow Yellow because they're going out of business because I could not find a fucking Mellow Yellow to save my life this afternoon.
Dude, we have Mellow Yellow all over in Yankee Land up here, dude. We got it everywhere. I don't know what the fuck I don't know what a sun drop is. Whatever the fuck you were saying before.
You don't know what a sun drop is?
We got Mellow Yellow everywhere.
Bruh, sun drop, dude. Next time you're down here, man.
That's a southern drink, man.
Next time you're down here, we're gonna get you some sun drop, man.
We gotta get you some sun drop, man.
Man, he's gonna be like, hot damn, everybody, let's go to Talladega. Sun drop's really good. All right. So anyway, you out there in the chat, if you watched along with Days of Thunder, out of 5 possible you digs, what do you give this film? Jelani, kick us off.
See, I was gonna give it a 3.5 at first because it was all right. I can rewatch it, but because of our discussion, I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm not watching this again. It's just it is clunky. It's so clunky, and like when you discuss it and you think about it for a while, and you're like, God, this is just it's a really poor put together film. Although it's pretty, it's very pretty. It's very loud, and Talladega Nights is way better. I give Talladega Nights a 5, just because
fuck off.
It's funny, and it's a NASCAR movie I enjoy. And if you're not first, you're last. It's got quotable lines. This has no quotable lines.
The Talladega Nights is a comedy.
Yeah, and I know, and it has John C. Reilly in it, and it's still good. Yeah, I'm putting them both in the same category because they're.
Can you tell me the greatest NASCAR films of all time have John C. Reilly in them?
Yeah.
Is he in Herbie Fully Loaded?
He needs to be.
What if
you know who is fully loaded in that movie? Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe's like, finally, this is the moment in my life. I've been waiting for this fucking joke, this line.
I've had that in my back pocket for years.
I wanted to activated. Yep, I wanted to fully load Lindsay Lohan as well. Oh, but
Jesus. All right. A 2 from Jelani. What about you, Brooks?
Yeah, I give it a 2 as well. Like, I didn't like it. It was boring. But, it does have some moments that I did like. It wasn't all bad. But, it's just a subject I'm not interested in. And, like you can make a movie about something I'm not interested in and it'd be good. But this movie just didn't do it for me, I think a lot of it, is due to the main character. So Tom Cruise kind of ruined this movie for me in a way. So you're off to a bad start, Tom, but I have faith that you can bring it back.
I imagine for the next 2 months, we're going to hear Brooks say that a lot. Tom Cruise kind of ruined this movie for me. All right, Manny, what about you?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I mean, on one hand, it was not a great film, but on the other hand, it was a celluloid hymn to the unquenchable fire that propels us to reach for the stars, and
AKA Mellow Yellow.
Yes, all the Mellow Yellow. I'm gonna go. I don't know, dude. It wasn't fucking bad. Like, it wasn't like you can't watch this again. You might never choose to watch it again, but it wasn't like you can't watch it. I'm gonna go with a 3. I'm gonna go with a 3.
All right, pretty respectable. A 2, 2, and a 3 from Manny. What about you, Joe? Where are you at?
I've been wrestling with this too. I was going to give it a 3, but after talking about it, I like it less. So I have to knock it down to at least a 2.5. So I'll go 2.5. That's fine. It's your birthday week. I'll be a little generous.
I was being generous with the 2.
Oh, well, thank you. I just want you to know that we've rated it higher than fucking the dipshits at Dylan's Horror Show rated fucking Nightmare Sisters, which I don't understand that, like, at all. Nightmare Sisters is a fucking cinematic achievement. All right, for me, movie perfect. It is not, but I like it. I'm going to buy this fucking movie, and it's going to be part of my repertoire. I'm going to be fucking championing this movie for the rest of my life. I love Days of Thunder, but I will give it an honest 3.5. 3.5. And I think that 0.5 is for Robbie Week, but to me, it's not super bad. It's not super good. It's okay. And it was way better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought we were going to watch an absolute piece of shit tonight. And apparently most of the panel thought that we did. But I thought that we watched a really good one. So I like the movie. I think it's good. And so I'll give it a 3.5. So a 2 from Jelani and Brooks, a 3 from Manny, and a 2.5 from Joe, a 3.5 from me, for a PCP average of 2.69, dudes. So nice. I think that's fair. I think it's fair. Yeah, it's Robbie Week, 4.69. You know, last year we did Repo, so this year I was like, who gives a shit what I pick? You know what I'm saying? Like, Vanilla Sky would have been a different conversation, but would it have been as fun? It may have been life-changing, but would it have been as fun?
We would all be cats.
It's still higher rated than Cats. What did you give Cats, Brooks? You gave it like Cats a 2, right? I think you gave Cats a 2.
I think it was like a 2. Maybe a 2.5. I
hate that movie.
Bro, I got to go back and look, but if you gave Cats a higher rating than Days of Thunder, man, I don't know about your future here at PCP.
It was probably a 2, I think.
Damn.
I mean, I know you beat Mega Man
like
and shit last week. That's
Cats.
Nice, but
a little bit.
All right, so there we go. Thus concludes our review of the cinema classic Days of Thunder. Next week for Crew's Choice is Brooks's pick, and Brooks couldn't give a shit what he picked. So I just listed some Tom Cruise movies, and he picked one that he hadn't seen. But next week, we're talking about Risky Business. That's right. Crew's Choice continues next week with Risky Business. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere. What, Joe?
No, I just love that out of all like the Tom Cruise movies, that's one you haven't seen.
There are actually a lot of Tom Cruise movies I haven't seen.
Okay, because like it's the one that made him a star.
Joe, I don't know.
I remember the sock slide scene.
I don't mean none.
Here's the thing, Joe. Brooks does not like Tom Cruise.
No, not at all.
I wouldn't say that. I'm indifferent to Tom Cruise.
Okay.
All right. I used to not like Tom Cruise. Then I realized I had to separate Scientology from the performer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that part's bad. I think we can all agree it's really bad, and people shouldn't do that.
No. It's
Hell
a
yeah.
cult. Yes.
So next week is Risky Business. Jelani, thank you so much for being here. What you got coming up, buddy?
Yeah, glad to be here talking about these Tom Cruise movies, of course, with you guys. Yeah, you know what we do. Brooks, Manny, and I do this thing called Go Figure Reviews. Manny does our thumbnails. He's awesome. And Brooks does our awesome commentary. He is also awesome. And I'm always awesome. But this week
we're the holy trinity of action figure reviews.
That's right.
Yeah, Jelani's really good at uploading. Right? Brooks for the commentary, Manny for the thumbnails. Jelani uploads them.
Yeah, that's what. Why are you simplifying what I just said? I just said we were awesome. I don't know.
I just felt like, you gave Days of Thunder and Funhouse a little bit lower than you should have. So I'm just kind of trying to throw it
I would have given it a 3.5, but us talking about it and me realizing that it sucked. Realized that it sucked.
If it had some fucking nudity, one way or another, you would have.
If it had nudity, it would have gotten a 3. It would have moved to 3. But like, how do you have? And I'll bring this up. Why the hell are you gonna have like a stripper lady in it, and she take her top off and it's just a bra, and you're a rated R movie? And I'm like,
it's PG-13.
You fail at life.
Yeah, Joe's whole point in his spiel earlier was that it was PG-13, brother.
Yeah, I know that. I'm still bringing it up.
But you keep saying it's rated R, but it's not.
Oh, I thought it was rated R. Well,
right, literally, we just.
It should have been rated R then. I don't know. I didn't watch Days of Thunder like that. I didn't give a crap. cares? Shit. I don't know about. Listen, I like Centuries. I don't know nothing about Panic at Disco. How about that? Let's see. What was I saying?
Well, you're about to plug your fucking YouTube channel, man. Let's just get to
Wow, my fucking YouTube channel. Yeah, fuck your YouTube channel. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we do Go Figure reviews. What did we do this week, Brooks? What did we do? Oh yeah, we did Moss Man.
Moss Man and
We did
Krang.
the Turtles of Grayskull Moss Man, and we did the Turtles of Grayskull Krang. They were both awesome, in my opinion, but they're highly overpriced and hard to find. Moss Man is nice. He's very cool. Check that review out. We really gush over a lot of these things. But yeah, we and of course Manny did our thumbnails, which are freaking awesome. And of course we're gonna have a live stream coming up very soon. This Wednesday, in fact, Manny will be there and Brooks will be there. And we've got some other guests and stuff. We're gonna talk about our top 5 show and tell figures for spring. Anything, doesn't matter. Any fun stuff that we can come up with. Haven't done a show in almost a year. I finally got my internet right because you can see me and hear me and it's not screwed up. So finally I can do a StreamYard. So we'll see how that goes. And guys, join us on this Wednesday at 8:00 Central Time. We will try and do it again. Thank you guys so much for watching our videos. And like, share, and subscribe. Yeah. Go figure.
All right, Brooks, thank you for being here. Final thoughts?
Just that Robin is racing, brother. Woo!
Woo!
All right, Manny, thank you so much for being here for Robbie Week. What's your final thoughts?
I guess I can leave you with the words of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who tells us to act in the living present, heart within, and God o'erhead. So when we look at this film, let's strap in, let's grip the wheel, let's fucking surrender to the thunderous roar of the asphalt epic that was Days of Thunder, and also 9-panel grid. Go fucking check out Eric. Eric is kicking ass and taking names in the comic review space. Go check out 9-panel grid.
I will second that. What about you, Joe? What you got coming up? Thank you so much for being here for part of Robbie Week.
Thanks for having me. What was it? Well, the King Arthur Knight's Justice book is out. You can order that. So give it a shot. I like it. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, it's a YA, but I made it as violent as I could. So
yay!
I hope you enjoy violence. And then
this dude's name is really Sir Wally.
Yep.
Sir Wally. I like it. Sir Tone.
Yep. It's pretty great.
It smells really good too, bro.
Thank you. I'm proud of that as well.
You never watched the comic, Robbie? Or the cartoon, Robbie?
No, I never did. I have no idea what the fuck that is. I just know it's a Joe Corallo book.
Thank you. And the DC, A Celebration of Rachel Pollack, is out June 4th. So in less than a month, you can be reading my DC Comics debut, as well as Doom Patrol 70, which is the first codpiece and the first Coagula, and Vertigo Visions The Geek, which I believe is Mike Allred's first DC work. And it's about 56 pages. It's like almost a triple size comic. It's great. I love that issue. So I'm excited for people to check it out.
Hell yeah. Everybody definitely check that out. FOC has just passed for that, but let your shop know that you want it right now. DC Pride, A Celebration of Rachel Pollack. You are definitely not going to be disappointed with that one. For me, just join us next week as we talk about Risky Business, a movie I haven't seen since I was a kid. Same thing with Days of Thunder, so very excited for this. And for my final thoughts, I was trying to think of a quote from the movie, but y'all have already done all the ones that I know, so I guess I'll just be like, if you may be responsible for somebody dying in the sport, just quit the sport for a year. They won't investigate you. You'll be okay. I don't fucking know. But it's Robbie Week, so I guess my final thoughts are that Friday